The hustle and bustle of the urban cafe created a comforting backdrop for Mia as she sat at her favorite corner table, a steaming cup of coffee warming her hands. The aroma of freshly baked pastries mingled with the chatter of patrons, providing a semblance of normalcy in her otherwise hectic life. Mia, a determined and hard-working woman in her early 30s, often found solace in these moments alone, where she could gather her thoughts before diving back into her demanding routine of juggling multiple jobs. Just a quick moment before we continue. Creating these stories, these worlds of tension, desire, and protection, is something I deeply love. Reaching 1,000 subscribers feels close, yet fragile. If these romances speak to you too, I'd be grateful if you subscribed and turned on notifications. Your support keeps these stories alive. Now, back to the story. Today was supposed to be just another quiet afternoon, a rare escape from the responsibilities that weighed heavily on her shoulders. She had dreams, aspirations that felt just out of reach, and every hour spent in this cafe was a small investment in her future. But as she took a sip of her coffee, savoring the warmth that spread through her, the door swung open, and an unexpected presence shattered her tranquility. Luca, the Italian Mafia boss, strode into the cafe with an air of authority that demanded attention. His tailored suit hugged his broad shoulders perfectly, and his dark hair was slicked back, accentuating the sharp angles of his jawline. The moment he entered, the atmosphere shifted, conversations faltered, and a palpable tension filled the air. Mia couldn't help but feel an involuntary shiver run down her spine as her gaze met his. There was something both intimidating and magnetic about him, an aura that seemed to draw her in and push her away simultaneously. As he made his way through the cafe, Mia watched, captivated. It was as if the world around him faded into a blur, leaving only the undeniable presence of this man. She quickly turned her attention back to her coffee, trying to focus on her thoughts, but the pull was too strong. When he reached her table, it felt like time stopped. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, his voice smooth and deep, carrying a hint of an Italian accent that sent her heart racing. Mia shook her head, caught off guard by the intensity of his gaze. "No, it's not," she managed to reply, her voice barely above a whisper. The instant he sat down, another man approached her table, a stranger who seemed to have an equal claim to the space. He slid onto the seat beside her without a word, but before Mia could process the situation, Luca's hand shot out, gripping the back of the chair with a surprising force. He pulled it away, effectively displacing the man with a single, decisive move. "Not here," Luca said, his tone leaving no room for argument. The stranger hesitated, a flicker of confusion crossing his face before he retreated, leaving Mia and Luca alone. It was an act of dominance that made the air thick with tension, and Mia felt the weight of it settle heavily around them. She looked up at Luca, her heart pounding in her chest. "What just happened?" she breathed, trying to mask her surprise with curiosity. Luca leaned forward slightly, his eyes locked onto hers, and she felt as if the world had narrowed down to just the two of them. "I don't like to share," he said, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. There was an undeniable charm in his demeanor, despite the danger that lurked behind his words. Mia's mind raced. She knew nothing of this man, yet there was something about him that made her heart leap. It was reckless to feel this way, especially considering the warning signs flashing in her mind. She was just an ordinary woman, and he was, well, he was something else entirely. "What do you want?" she asked, surprised by her own boldness. He chuckled softly, his gaze unwavering. "Just a conversation. I promise not to bite." The tension lingered, thickening the air between them as Mia weighed her options. She could easily dismiss him, get up, and leave, but a part of her was drawn to the danger he represented, the excitement of something so far removed from her mundane life. Luca continued to watch her, his expression a blend of amusement and intrigue, as if he could see right through her. Mia took a deep breath, deciding to embrace the moment. "All right then, what's the conversation about?" she asked, crossing her arms defensively, though inwardly, she was intrigued. Luca leaned back in his chair, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. "Tell me about your day. What brings you to this little cafe?" And so, The conversation began, each word exchanged creating an invisible thread that pulled them closer together. Mia talked about her life, her struggles, her dreams of making it big one day. She didn't realize how easily she was revealing herself until she caught Luca's intense gaze, making her feel vulnerable yet oddly empowered. As they spoke, Mia found herself lost in his dark eyes, wondering what secrets lay hidden beneath the surface. The world outside continued to bustle, but for them, time seemed to stand still. The chemistry crackled between them, a subtle tension that set her heart racing. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something unexpected, a twist in her ordinary life that would change everything. As the cafe filled with the sounds of laughter and clinking cups, Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. She was stepping into uncharted territory, and though her instincts screamed at her to be cautious, she couldn't help but lean into the thrill of the moment. Mia sat in the cafe, her fingertips tracing the rim of her coffee cup as the steam curled up into the air, dancing playfully in front of her face. The bustling atmosphere of the cafe felt both comforting and chaotic, the sounds of laughter and chatter merging into a symphony of everyday life. She had found solace in this little corner, a brief escape from the grind of her multiple jobs, and the constant struggle to keep her dreams afloat. Before she could fully settle into her moment of peace, the door swung open, and a gust of wind followed in the imposing figure of Luca. He strode into the cafe with an air of confidence that turned heads. His tailored suit hugged his broad shoulders perfectly, and the way he carried himself spoke volumes. Mia felt a sudden chill, not from the temperature but from the sheer intensity of his presence. She couldn't help but steal glances at him, her heart racing with an inexplicable mix of fear and intrigue. Luca's eyes scanned the room until they landed on Mia. For a split second, it felt as if the world around them faded, leaving only the two of them in focus. He approached her table, and the closer he got, the more she felt an electric charge in the air. It was a sensation she had never experienced before, and it both thrilled and terrified her. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, his voice smooth as velvet, with a hint of an Italian accent that immediately sent shivers down her spine. Mia shook her head, her throat suddenly dry. "No, it's not," she managed to say, surprised by how weak her voice sounded. As he slid into the seat across from her, an unexpected interruption occurred. Another man, a stranger who had been hovering nearby, casually slid into the seat beside her without a word. Mia's heart sank as she processed the implications. But before she could react, Luca's hand shot out, gripping the back of the chair as if it were a lifeline. With a swift motion, he pulled it away, leaving the man startled and confused. "Not here," Luca said, his tone firm and commanding. The stranger hesitated, sensing the shift in energy, and ultimately retreated, leaving Mia alone with the man who had just asserted his dominance in a way that felt both thrilling and daunting. "What just happened?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, astonished by the swift turn of events. Luca leaned forward slightly, his dark eyes holding hers captive. "I don't like to share," he replied, a smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. Mia felt her cheeks flush, a mix of embarrassment and something else, something that felt dangerously close to exhilaration. She was aware that she should have been alarmed by his behavior, but instead, she found herself captivated. There was an undeniable chemistry between them, a magnetic pull that defied her instincts to be cautious. "What do you want?" she asked, surprising herself with her boldness. He chuckled softly, the sound sending a ripple of warmth through her. "Just a conversation. I promise I won't bite." The tension crackled in the air, thickening with every passing moment as Mia weighed her options. She could easily dismiss him, walk away, and retreat to her ordinary life. But there was something about Luca that intrigued her, something that made her heart race with reckless abandon. "All right then, what's the conversation about?" she asked, crossing her arms defensively despite her curiosity bubbling beneath the surface. Luca leaned back in his chair, his expression shifting to one of satisfaction. "Tell me about your day. What brings you to this little cafe?" And so, the conversation began, words flowing between them like an unspoken promise. Mia found herself sharing snippets of her life, the long hours spent juggling jobs, her dreams of making it big, and the struggles that came with pursuing those aspirations. She didn't realize how easily she was revealing herself until she caught Luca's intense gaze, making her feel both vulnerable and strangely empowered. As they spoke, Mia felt lost in the depths of his dark eyes, curious about the secrets they held. The cafe around them continued to bustle with life, but for Mia and Luca, time seemed to stand still. The chemistry between them was palpable, a tension that made her heart pound faster. She knew she was stepping into dangerous territory, and yet she couldn't resist the thrill of it all. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. Mia's mind was racing with emotions she couldn't quite comprehend. She was a working woman, grounded in reality, yet here she was, flirting with danger. Luca had a presence that was hard to ignore. It was as if he was magnetic, drawing her in while simultaneously warning her to be cautious. She found herself leaning closer, intrigued by the man who seemed to embody both danger and excitement. "I've never met anyone like you," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Good or bad?" he responded, a teasing smile playing on his lips. "Maybe a bit of both," she replied, unable to suppress a smile of her own. Their conversation continued, a playful banter that made time fly. Mia was pleasantly surprised by how easy it felt to talk with him, each laugh bridging the gap between their worlds. But beneath the surface, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Luca than he was letting on. Every word exchanged was a thread drawing them closer, each laugh shared a step into uncharted territory. As the cafe bustled around them, Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. She was on the brink of something extraordinary, something that would shatter the mundane routine of her life. With each passing moment, she leaned in deeper, her heart pounding with the thrill of the unknown. As Mia processed the unexpected encounter with Luca, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. She could feel the weight of his presence as he effortlessly commanded the space around them. What had started as an ordinary day had morphed into something she had only seen in movies. The realization struck her: Luca wasn't just any man, he was a powerful mafia boss. The idea made her pulse race, a mixture of excitement and apprehension coursing through her veins. "Tell me," he began, his voice low and smooth, "what do you think of this place?" His gaze was penetrating, as if he could see right through to her thoughts. The cafe was bustling, filled with the sounds of clinking cups and chatter, but in that moment, it felt like they were in their own world. "It's nice," Mia replied, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions. "I come here for the coffee. It's one of the few places I can escape the chaos of my day-to-day life." Luca leaned in, intrigued. "Escape? What kind of chaos are we talking about?" He was genuinely interested, and this made her feel oddly special, as if she was the only person in the room. Mia hesitated for a moment. She had never been one to share her burdens with strangers, let alone someone like him. But there was something in his expression, a warmth that encouraged her to open up. "I work multiple jobs to make ends meet. It's exhausting, and sometimes I wonder if it's all worth it." "Everything worth having comes at a price," he said, his tone serious yet comforting. "But it sounds like you're paying the right price for your dreams." She chuckled softly, appreciating his perspective. "I hope so. I guess I'm just trying to build a future for myself." "Building a future, huh?" Luca's eyes sparkled with interest. "What kind of future are we talking about?" Mia felt a rush of excitement mixed with fear. She had never shared her aspirations with anyone, let alone a man like Luca. "I want to open my own art gallery," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Art has always been my passion. I want to create a space where people can connect with it, a place that feels like home." Luca was silent for a moment, absorbing her words. "An art gallery. That's ambitious," he finally said, admiration lacing his tone. "You have a vision, Mia. I like that." His compliment warmed her heart, but a nagging voice in the back of her mind reminded her of the danger lurking within his world. "I appreciate that, but I'm not sure I can ever achieve it. The odds are stacked against me." "Life is about taking risks," he replied, his expression serious, yet there was a flicker of something softer beneath his tough exterior. Sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone and embrace the unknown. Easier said than done, she murmured, feeling her heart race as their eyes locked. The connection between them was undeniable, an electric current that made her pulse quicken. Yet, the reality of who he was loomed over her like a dark cloud. Before she could voice her thoughts, he leaned closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, I didn't come here just for coffee. I came because I was hoping to meet someone interesting. Mia felt her breath hitch in her throat. And you found her? Absolutely, he said, a charming grin spreading across his lips. But there's more to me than just charm. My world is dangerous, and I don't want to pull you into it unless you're ready. The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. What do you mean? She asked, her heart racing. Luca's expression shifted, becoming more serious. My life is filled with threats, enemies lurking in the shadows. Being close to me could put you in harm's way, and I cannot stand the thought of that. Mia swallowed hard, her instincts screaming at her to run. Yet, there was something exhilarating about being in the presence of someone so powerful, someone who could easily take control of her life. I appreciate your honesty, she replied, trying to maintain her composure. But I'm not afraid of danger. I've faced my share of challenges. Challenges are one thing, he countered, his gaze unwavering. But this is another level entirely. You have a choice to make. You can walk away now, or you can take a leap and see where this goes. His words hung in the air between them, a tempting offer that sent shivers down her spine. She could feel the pull of destiny urging her forward, yet the reality of his world tugged at her caution. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. Mia wrestled with her thoughts, the thrill of the unknown battling with her instinct to retreat. Luca's gaze was intense, filled with promise and danger, and she realized that whatever choice she made right now would shape her future in ways she couldn't even imagine. I need to think, she managed, her heart pounding. The air was thick with tension, and she could see the flicker of disappointment in his eyes. But she also saw understanding, a depth of character that made her curious about the man behind the facade. Take your time, he replied, his voice gentle yet firm. But remember, the clock is ticking. Opportunities like this don't come often. As he leaned back, Mia felt an undeniable urge to learn more about him. What was the true story behind Luca, the man who seemed to exist in two worlds at once? The mystery only deepened her intrigue, and despite the risks, she found herself wanting to know more. Would she dare to take that leap, to step into a world that could either fulfill her dreams or shatter them entirely? The answer seemed to lie in the depths of Luca's eyes, waiting for her to decide. Mia's heart raced as the tension in the cafe escalated. The atmosphere shifted dramatically when a rival gang member stormed in, his eyes searching for Luca. The air thickened with an unsettling energy, and Mia instinctively felt the need to brace herself. She could sense the danger lurking just beneath the surface of their casual conversation. Stay close to me, Luca said, his voice low but firm. His presence enveloped her, and she could feel the authority radiating from him. It was intoxicating. The man approached their table with a swagger that dripped with hostility. Luca, he sneered, his gaze flickering over Mia before settling on the mafia boss. I didn't expect to find you here, hiding behind a pretty face. Mia's stomach twisted. She had always been drawn to danger, but this was a level she had never anticipated. Luca's demeanor shifted from charming to icy in an instant, his eyes narrowing. Watch your tone, he warned, his voice laced with a subtle threat that sent chills down her spine. The rival smirked, clearly unfazed. You think you can just waltz around, acting like you own this city? You're nothing without your crew. Get lost, Luca snapped, his irritation palpable. The tension was electric, and Mia couldn't help but feel like a pawn in a game much larger than herself. She could see the fire in Luca's eyes, a side of him that was fierce and unyielding. It was both terrifying and thrilling. Mia's pulse quickened as she glanced between the two men. Here was Luca, a man who commanded respect, and yet, he was challenged so openly. The rival's presence was a stark reminder of the world Luca inhabited, a world where loyalty was fleeting, and danger lurked in every shadow. Or what? The rival taunted, taking a step closer. You think you can intimidate me just because you're the big boss now? Without warning, Luca stood, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. I don't have time for this, he declared, his voice steady but filled with an underlying rage. You're making a mistake by coming here. Mia held her breath, fear and excitement swirling inside her. She had seen men argue before, but this felt different. This was not just a dispute, it was a clash of power, a dance on the edge of violence, and she was right in the middle of it. The rival took another step forward, a slight smirk on his face. You're all bark, Luca. Just a pretty face behind a big name. In that moment, she saw the real Luca, the man who had the power to protect her but also to unleash chaos. She had been drawn to him because of his warmth, but now she was witnessing the other side of his character, the cold, calculated leader ready to defend what was his. Let's take this outside, then, Luca said, his voice low and menacing. You want to play games? I'll show you what happens when you challenge me. Mia felt her heart rate spike. This wasn't just a disagreement. It was a confrontation that could escalate into something dangerous. She instinctively reached for Luca's arm, her fingers wrapping around his bicep. Luca, wait, she implored, her voice barely above a whisper. Let's not do this here. He glanced down at her, a mixture of surprise and concern flickering across his face. Mia, please, she urged, her grip tightening. This isn't worth it. For a brief moment, the tension in Luca's eyes softened as he looked into hers. I can't let him disrespect me, he replied, his voice low and steady. I know, but there are ways to handle this without it turning violent, she pressed, hoping to appeal to his sense of reason. He hesitated, glancing back at the rival who was still smirking. The standoff was palpable, and Mia could feel her heart pounding in her ears. She had never been in a situation like this, and the thought of it spiraling out of control was terrifying. Fine, Luca finally said, his tone clipped. But this isn't over. He stepped away from the table, his gaze locked onto the rival. You get one chance to back off. If you don't, I will make you regret it. The rival scoffed but took a step back, realizing that the stakes had changed. You think you're untouchable, huh? We'll see about that. With a final glare, he turned on his heel and stalked out of the cafe, leaving a tense silence in his wake. Mia exhaled, relief flooding her system as she turned to Luca. Are you okay? He ran a hand through his hair, clearly agitated. I'm fine, he replied, though his eyes betrayed a storm of emotions. I'm just tired of these games. They don't understand who they're dealing with. Maybe you should try to avoid confrontation in public places, she suggested, her voice gentle but firm. It's dangerous. Luca looked at her, and for a moment, the weight of the world seemed to lift from his shoulders. You're right, he admitted, surprising her. I don't want to put you in harm's way. I need to be more careful. She felt a flicker of something deep within her. This man, who was so powerful and feared, was capable of vulnerability. It made him more complex, and it drew her in even closer. I just want you to be safe, she said softly, her gaze unwavering. He studied her for a moment, and she could see the wheels turning in his mind. I don't want to drag you into my world, Mia. You deserve better than this. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. Mia felt the tension ease slightly, the danger momentarily dissipating. In that moment, she realized she was standing at a crossroads, between the life she knew and the unpredictable journey that lay ahead with Luca. Would she be brave enough to step forward, or would she retreat into the safety of her familiar routine? The choice loomed large, but one thing was certain, whatever path she chose, she would never be the same again. The aftermath of the cafe incident left Mia with a whirlwind of emotions. She and Luca found themselves in a secluded part of the city, far away from the chaos that had erupted just moments before. The narrow alley, lit by the soft glow of street lamps, felt like a world apart from the tension of the cafe. Mia could still feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, the remnants of fear mingling with an unexpected thrill. She turned to Luca, who stood with his back against the cool brick wall, his expression a mix of frustration and concern. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked softly, her voice steady despite the storm of thoughts in her mind. The encounter had revealed a side of Luca that was both captivating and terrifying. She had seen him assert his power, but now she yearned to know the man behind the formidable reputation. Luca ran a hand through his hair, his jaw clenched. "I don't like being challenged, especially not in front of you. It puts you in danger." His voice was low, each word weighted with the intensity of his emotions. Mia took a step closer, her heart racing. "I appreciate your concern, but you can't protect me from everything. I have to make my own choices, Luca." She searched his eyes, hoping to find some understanding, some acknowledgement of the connection that had sparked between them. His gaze softened, and for a fleeting moment, she saw a flicker of vulnerability. "I know you're strong, but I wish you didn't have to deal with this world. It's full of shadows and dangers that I can't shield you from. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear." She glanced up at him, and for a moment, the tension that had hung heavy in the air evaporated. Luca regarded her with a mixture of admiration and frustration. "You don't understand what it's like to be in my shoes," he said, his voice rough. "Every choice I make feels like a gamble. One wrong move and everything could fall apart, including you." "I may not know your world, but I know what I feel," Mia responded, her voice gaining strength. "This isn't just about you, Luca. I'm here too." The weight of her words hung in the air, and she could see him processing them, caught between his instincts to protect and the undeniable connection they shared. The alley was quiet, but the tension between them crackled like static electricity. She took another step closer, feeling the warmth radiating from him, the raw energy that made her heart race. "I want to understand you," she said softly. "Let me in. You can't keep pushing me away." Luca's expression shifted, and she saw the internal battle raging within him. "I want to let you in, but what if you see things you can't handle?" His voice was barely above a whisper, laden with a mix of fear and longing. "Then I'll decide for myself," Mia replied firmly. "I'm not afraid of the darkness, Luca. I want to be a part of your world, but I need you to trust me." She reached out, her fingers brushing against his, an electric connection sparking between them. He hesitated for a moment, his eyes searching hers for any hint of uncertainty. "It's not just my life at stake. It's yours too. You need to know what you're getting into." "I'm already in, whether I like it or not," she said, her voice steady. "You drew me in the moment you pulled that chair away. I want to stay, but I need you to be honest with me." Luca sighed, a heavy sound that echoed in the stillness of the alley. "You deserve better than this life, Mia. I don't want to be the reason you get hurt." "Then let me help you. We can figure this out together." She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. "I'm not asking you to change who you are. I just want to understand. You're not just a mafia boss to me, you're a person with flaws and fears, just like anyone else." His gaze locked onto hers, the intensity of his stare making her heart race. "It's complicated. My past is filled with things I wish I could forget. Trusting someone is dangerous, and I can't afford to lose you." Mia felt a surge of determination. "Then let's build that trust. I'm willing to take the risk because I believe in what we have. You're not alone in this." As they stood in the quiet alley, the world around them faded away. It was just the two of them, bound by unspoken promises and a burgeoning connection. Luca stepped closer, his breath warm against her skin. "You're different, Mia. You make me question everything I thought I knew." "Good," she replied, her voice a whisper. "You deserve to question it all." The intensity of the moment hung between them, and she felt an urge to bridge the gap that remained. "Let me show you my world, then. But be prepared for the darkness," he warned, his tone serious yet inviting. "I'm ready," she said, her heart pounding in her chest. "Let's face it together." And in that moment, as the shadows of their past loomed over them, they took a step forward, a decision that would forever change the course of their lives. The night was still young, but the air was thick with anticipation, and Mia was ready to embrace whatever came next. As the dust settled from the chaotic confrontation in the cafe, Mia found herself in an unfamiliar place, both physically and emotionally. The alley where they had sought refuge was dimly lit, filled with shadows that danced around them like specters of their pasts. Luca stood before her, the weight of the world etched into his features, and she could see the toll it took on him. He was more than just the mafia boss, he was a man shaped by his experiences, haunted yet resilient. Mia took a moment to collect her thoughts, the adrenaline from the earlier chaos giving way to a tense silence. She could feel the electricity between them crackling in the air, an unspoken acknowledgement of the danger they faced, and the undeniable connection that had formed amidst the turmoil. Luca's eyes searched hers, as if trying to gauge her resolve, her willingness to step further into his chaotic world. "I didn't mean for you to see that side of me," he finally broke the silence, his voice low and strained. "I'm not proud of it." "Neither am I," Mia replied, her tone steady. "But I understand. You're fighting battles that I can't even begin to imagine." She stepped closer, her heart pounding as she held his gaze. "What I saw today, it was terrifying, but it was also real. You protect what's yours, even if it means stepping into the darkness." Luca's expression shifted, a flicker of appreciation illuminating his features. "You have no idea how hard it is to keep everything together. I've built my empire on the edge of a knife, and one wrong move could mean losing everything, including you." "Then let's stop dancing around it," Mia urged, her courage swelling. "Tell me what you need from me. If I'm going to be part of your life, I deserve to know what that means." The tension in the air thickened as Luca hesitated, the weight of his secrets heavy on his shoulders. "It means risking everything you've ever known," he admitted. "This life is dangerous, and I can't protect you from all of it." Mia shook her head, determination coursing through her veins. "I won't be a damsel in distress, Luca. I want to stand by your side. I want to help you navigate through this." He studied her, his brow furrowing as if trying to decipher her resolve. "You're brave, more than most," he finally said, a hint of admiration in his voice. "But bravery can lead to foolish decisions." "Maybe," she replied, a small smile breaking through the tension. "But I'd rather be brave than live in fear. I can handle the darkness, Luca. I just need you to trust me." Luca took a deep breath, and for a moment, she saw the walls he had built around himself begin to crack. "Trust isn't easy for me," he confessed quietly. "I've lost too much to let anyone in." "Then let me earn that trust," she insisted, stepping closer until they were just inches apart. "I'm not going anywhere." In that moment, the world outside the alley faded away, leaving only the two of them suspended in time. Luca reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch igniting a fire within her. "You're unlike anyone I've ever met, Mia. You challenge me, and that scares me." "Good," she whispered, her heart racing. "You need someone to challenge you, to remind you that there's more to life than power and fear." He paused, his gaze intense and searching. "Are you sure you want this?" "I can't promise it will be easy." "Nothing worth having ever is," she replied, her voice steady. "I'm willing to fight for us, for whatever this is." The air grew heavy with anticipation, and Mia could feel the connection between them deepening, weaving an intricate tapestry of emotions that neither of them fully understood. Luca's eyes held a mixture of longing and apprehension, and she could sense the conflict raging within him. Just then, the distant sound of sirens broke through their moment, reminding them of the reality they were tangled in. They both turned towards the entrance of the alley, the threat of the outside world looming large. "We need to move," Luca said, his voice suddenly serious again. "It's not safe here. They could come looking." "Then let's go," Mia replied without hesitation, her resolve unyielding. "I'm with you, remember?" As they stepped out of the alley, hand in hand, a surge of adrenaline coursed through Mia. The world outside was vibrant and alive, but it felt different now. She was no longer just an observer in her own life. She was an active participant, ready to face the challenges ahead alongside Luca. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. Her voice was firm yet light, a moment of levity amidst the chaos. Luca shot her a quick glance, a smirk tugging at the corners of his lips. You really know how to keep things interesting, don't you? Just trying to lighten the mood, she replied with a grin, feeling a sense of camaraderie build between them. As they stepped into the night, the adrenaline made her feel alive, every nerve ending tingling with excitement and fear. With each step they took, the bond between them grew stronger. The dangers of Luca's world loomed ahead, but together, they would face whatever came their way. They were no longer just two individuals caught in a web of circumstances. They were allies, partners in a dance of uncertainty and passion. Mia knew that the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to embrace the chaos that came with it. She had chosen to stand by Luca's side, to dive into the depths of his world, and she wouldn't look back. Together, they would navigate the shadows and emerge stronger, hand in hand, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. As Mia and Luca stepped out of the alley, the cool night air hit them like a wave, invigorating yet heavy with the weight of the choices they had just made. They walked side by side, the city lights painting their path with a flickering glow. Mia felt an exhilarating mix of fear and excitement. She was no longer just a bystander in her life, but actively choosing to step into a world filled with uncertainty and danger. Luca glanced down at her, a small smile breaking through his usually stoic demeanor. You know, you surprise me, Mia, he said. Most people wouldn't dare step into my world willingly. Mia met his gaze, her heart pounding. Maybe they don't know what they're missing. You might be dangerous, but I see more than just that. The words slipped out before she could think twice, and she felt her cheeks flush slightly. There was something about Luca that pulled her in, a magnetism that was impossible to ignore, even with the looming threats surrounding him. Ah, but danger is often more than meets the eye, Luca replied, his tone teasingly serious. Are you sure you're ready for it? I've faced my share of dangers, she countered, steeling herself. I'm not going to shy away now just because it gets tough. Luca studied her, appreciating the fire in her spirit. You're unlike anyone I've ever known, and that scares me, he admitted, his voice low and sincere. Good, she replied, her smile returning. You need someone who will challenge you, remind you that there's more to life than power and fear. They walked in silence for a moment, the city buzzing around them, but in that moment, they were in their own world. Mia could feel the connection between them growing deeper, each step bringing them closer, as if the universe was conspiring to intertwine their fates. Just then, a loud crash echoed down the street, jolting them back to reality. Luca's posture changed instantly, his body tense as he scanned the area. We need to be careful, he said, all seriousness now. There are eyes everywhere. Then let's find somewhere safe, Mia suggested, her mind racing. She didn't want to show fear, but the reality of the situation was sinking in. Somewhere we can talk without worrying about prying eyes. Luca nodded, leading her down a narrow street lined with old brick buildings. They reached a secluded doorway, and Luca pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit stairwell. This leads to my office, he explained, glancing around to ensure they weren't being followed. Mia hesitated for a moment but was quickly ushered inside. As they ascended the stairs, the tension in the air thickened. What happens now? She asked, her voice slightly trembling with anticipation. We talk, he replied, opening the door to a spacious office that overlooked the city. The walls were adorned with expensive art, and the furniture exuded a sense of power and authority. But first, you need to understand what you're getting into. Mia took a deep breath, absorbing the atmosphere. I understand more than you think. I'm not naive. Luca leaned against his desk, his expression thoughtful. You may not be, but this life isn't just about glitz and glamour. There are serious consequences for every decision made, every move played. You're stepping into a world filled with loyalty, betrayal, and danger. I can handle it, she insisted, trying to mask the flutter of uncertainty in her stomach. I've been through tough times before. He stepped closer, his eyes locked onto hers. It's not the same, Mia. This isn't a choice between jobs or relationships. It's life or death. Then let me choose my destiny, she challenged, her voice firm. I want to be here, with you. I want to face whatever comes our way. A moment of silence hung between them, tension electrifying the air. Luca searched her eyes, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of vulnerability within him. You're putting a lot of faith in me, he said slowly. Faith is earned, Luca. And I'm willing to earn it if you are. He regarded her with a mixture of admiration and concern. You're different. I can't promise it'll be easy, but I can promise that I'll protect you. I won't let anything happen to you. Mia felt a rush of warmth at his words, but beneath it lay a twinge of fear. What if I don't want to be protected? What if I want to fight? Luca smirked, a spark igniting in his eyes. Then you'll fit right in. Before she could respond, the door burst open. A man in a dark suit entered, his expression frantic. Luca. We have a situation. The atmosphere shifted instantly as Luca's demeanor hardened. What is it? There's been a sighting of the rival gang nearby. They're looking for you, the man said urgently. Mia's stomach dropped. What does that mean? She asked, anxiety creeping into her voice. It means we need to move. Now. Luca's tone was deadly serious, and Mia felt the weight of the situation wash over her. Where do we go? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. To my safe house. It's the only place we'll be secure, he replied, glancing back at her. Are you ready? Yes, she said, her heart racing with adrenaline. More than ever. As they stepped out of the office and into the night once more, Mia realized that she was no longer just a spectator in her own life. She was a participant, ready to face the dangers ahead. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, she said with a breathless laugh as they hurried down the street, her nerves buzzing with excitement and fear. Let's see where this journey takes us. Together, they navigated the shadows of the city, their fates intertwined in a thrilling dance between danger and desire, knowing that whatever awaited them, they would face it side by side.